I was scrolling on YouTube and I found this unique little thing called Oversimplified, whereas people explain history in using animated versions of it and they kind of just dumb it down a bit, they don't really get into too much detail, but they explain it enough so you understand. And I just kind of went down a rabbit hole. There is a whole bunch of channels out there, you know. One of my favorites is Oversimplified and Serious History. So I wanted to do Oversimplified. World War II oversimplified. I'm sorry. It's 1:30 in the morning. It's been a long night. Anyways, World War II oversimplified, and we're gonna do 30 minutes. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Eventually, this is like the first official video I want to post, so we're gonna get right into it. Leave a like.
Made possible by Skillshare. Churchill was a man with many talents. He was an artist, a butterfly enthusiast, and he had an unpublished manuscript about aliens. Clearly, he was a man with an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Maybe he could have loaded up his computer and logged onto Skillshare, an online learning community with more than 19,000 classes in design, business, technology, and more. Perhaps he was considering a side career in fashion, but didn't know where to start. On Skillshare, he would find courses in fashion design and garment construction. Or if he wanted to learn app design, improve his photography, or just how to make a really good quesadilla, he would have found courses for all of these and more on Skillshare. Skillshare gives you access to high-quality classes taught by genuine experts working in their field. I work heavily with animation, and I was genuinely blown away by the number of really useful courses available to me, like this class full of tips and tricks for creating vector art, or this one for creating character walk cycles. For an annual subscription, Skillshare is under $10 a month. And if you'd like to try it out first, then I've got a deal just for Oversimplified viewers. The first 1,000 people to use this link, which can be found in the description, will get their first 2 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. Be sure to try it out using the link in the description and learn something new today. Now, without further ado.
That's a really good ad. And one ad into another ad. One ad into another ad. This is unbelievable. Okay.
It's 1902. A young man by the name of Benito Mussolini moves from Italy to Switzerland to avoid military service. He gets big into socialism, working for trade unions, writing for socialist newspapers, advocating a violent overthrow of European monarchies, the whole shebang. This gets him in a bit of trouble with the Swiss police, so he gets arrested, sent back to Italy, set free, returns to Switzerland, is arrested again, goes back to Italy again, completes his military service after previously avoiding it, and then after a brief stint as an elementary school teacher, he finally returns to work as an avid socialist. His speeches and journalistic abilities made him famous among Italian socialists. He was anti-war, so when Italy colonized Libya in 1910, he rioted
can't be Hitler.
And got arrested. Then World War I came along, and once again he protested Italy's involvement. Then he thought, wait a minute, this war could bring about the social climate needed to overthrow European monarchies and bring about the socialist revolution everywhere. And suddenly he was pro-war. But his fellow socialists didn't like his new pro-war stance, so they kicked him out of the party. So then he said, you know what? I'm done with socialism. We need something new, not based on class divisions tearing us apart, but based on unity through nationality. We'll conquer the Mediterranean and reunite all Italian peoples just like the days of the Roman Empire. I'll call it fascismo, and it will guide the Italian nation to greatness. That's all well and good, Mr. Mussolini, but what kind of haircut am I giving you? Let's go with... bold. Italy had been on the winner's side in World War I, and they hoped they were going to get a lot out of it, but in the end, they only got a little, and they felt cheated. On top of that, a bad economy and weak governments meant that the Italian people were a little unhappy. So when Mussolini came along and said that he could fix everything, his fascist movement gained a lot of support. In 1922, he went to the king and said, make me prime minister, or I'll make me prime minister. And the king said, you and what army? This army. Fair enough. Then he went about establishing a dictatorship with himself at its center. Had its first fascist dictator. Next up, Germany. Germany had been on the losers'
Oh,
side,
shit.
and they got absolutely wrecked by the Treaty of Versailles. They lost territory, had to militarize the Rhineland, had to reduce their army to just 100,000 men, couldn't have an air force, had to pay the Allies a huge amount of money that it didn't have, and a new rule established that every Englishman with held the right to go into the center of Berlin, pick out any German they wanted, and spank the hell out of them. I made that last one up, but it helps you understand how this felt to Germans.
Yeah.
On top of that, a bad economy and weak
Can you
governments
imagine
when
if
a
that was
certain
actually
angry man
true?
with a silly mustache came along and said that he could fix everything, German people loved it. Hitler had been a soldier in World War I, and he was crazy patriotic, and nobody was madder than him about Germany's humiliation. He helped start a new political party. In 1923, he did a march in Munich with his boys, and then he was arrested. His popularity grew and grew, and in 1933, President became Chancellor. He believed he was Germany's greatest and savior, and he was a full maniac, establishing a dictatorship with himself at its center. He had fascist dictator number 2. Hitler and Mussolini had a lot of the same ideas, but more importantly, they had the same enemies, and they started to get along. Anyone else want to be friends? Franco? No? Good? I do. Who's that? It's Japan, and they've taken over northern China. Let's rewind a bit. Japan had isolated itself from the rest of the world for over 200 years until the Americans came up and said, "You're going to trade with us, we're going to lie." Then the Western powers imposed a bunch of unequal treaties, and Japan's economy would bust. They also had no natural resources, so they decided to go get some. They went to war with China to gain a sphere of influence over Korea, and they took a bunch of stuff. But then the West said, "Hey, cut that out." And since Japan couldn't take on the West, they said, "Okay, I guess we just go, wait a minute, what are you doing? Taking advantage of in China and setting up spheres of influence. But I was to weaken them. We know. And you just didn't let me have anything. We know. That seems unfair." We don't think so. Okay, yeah. So Japan thought, screw that, and went to war with Russia, and stunned everyone by actually. Then they fully annexed Korea. It didn't stay there. In World War I, took Germany's colonies and islands in Asia, and then in an incident that was maybe staged by the Japanese army, a bomb blew up the Japanese train in Manchuria, giving them an excuse to launch an invasion and take over. So here's the situation. Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan all believe they're racially superior, all feel hostility towards the Allies, and all want to militarize and take over more stuff. So they did. Let's start with Germany. Hitler hated the Treaty of Versailles, and now he was ready to begin undoing it. In complete violation of the treaty, the first Luftwaffe squadrons were set up, conscription was introduced, and he pimped up his army. The Allies did nothing. Hitler sent his army back into the demilitarized Rhine, giving orders to immediately retreat if the Allies. The Allies did nothing. With his military strengthened, he could now move to step 2. He wanted to rapidly increase the Aryan population, and to do so, he needed Lebanon, or in other words, he would have to take over the world. But for now, a good portion of Europe would do, and he began eyeing his neighbors. The Allies finally started to work. They implemented a fairly useless diplomatic strategy called appeasement, and it went a little something like this. Hitler would say, "I want that thing," and the Allies would say, "You can have that thing." "Okay, you can have that thing, but no more." That thing. And
with Google Play Games, you can play
Come on.
Unlocked. Unlock your game here and here with one purchase. Sync your games.
In 1938, Hitler's army marched into Austria and just took it, with no resistance. Boom. This is Germany now. Next, he demanded to become the Sudetenland, an area of Czechoslovakia with ethnic Germans. The Allies held a meeting with Hitler and said, "Look, we're going to give you what you... Hang on. This meeting is about my territory. Can I come to the meeting too?" "Anyway, we're going to give you what you want." "Really?" "Yeah." "That? What's the catch? Sign this paper promising you won't leave the rest of Czechoslovakia." "Okay." Chamberlain returned home victorious, waving a signed paper in the air, declaring peace to be averted and the continuation of world peace. He built a statue of Chamberlain in his honor every day on the 30th of September. Chamberlain Day. Hitler's invading the rest of Czechoslovakia. What? He's invading the rest of Czechoslovakia. You lied to me. What do you expect? I'm Hitler. Not to be out. Mussolini also wanted to get in on action. He thought to himself, isn't there not yet a organized nation somewhere which is so undeveloped people would be defending themselves against our enemies with little bows, arrows, and wooden spears? Oh, there is? Fantastic. And so he took it. He also wanted to control the entrance to the Adriatic Sea, so they occupied Albania. Then, in another incident which was maybe staged by the Japanese, fire was exchanged by Japanese and Chinese troops at the market of Britain, and the Japanese launched yet another invasion against China. They swept through Beijing and Shanghai, and then advanced through the Yangtze Valley to China's then capital, Peking. It was that saw the worst Egyptian shock atrocities committed against Chinese
Can I just
people.
say toodles to Japanese? Because
Germany and Italy made the relationship
they
status
are
official by
just
signing the Pact of Steel.
killing
Then
it,
Hitler turned his back towards Poland
So
and invaded
literally.
Poland corridor, including Japan too. At this point, the Allies really had to put their foot down, and they warned that an invasion of would mean war. Hitler had to continue his advance eastward, but didn't want to be fighting two fronts. So for now, he made an alliance with Stalin, saying, "How about we both invade Poland, split it between the two of us, and I definitely will not refrain from training sometime in the future." Sounds good.
Good.
This new alliance stunned the West. On the 1st of September 1939, German troops entered Poland. Britain declared war on Germany. Poles fought hard. There were no match for the two lines crashing down on them from either side. Then a period known as the Phony War. Everyone decided not doing much. The French had a small into the Saarland, maintained defensive positions, and afterwards decided just to round it a day. Speaking of France, the French were still super proud of their victory in World War I, and they didn't really move on from it. They still used horses. They dispatched messages by motorbike instead of using radio. Orders from the commander-in-chief were usually pretty vague, and were rarely inspected. They built a unit defense along their German border, but didn't bother extending it all the way to the Channel, and they didn't launch artillery strikes against Germany out of fear of being retaliated against. In a way, they didn't want to attack the enemy. First, UK was much better. Chamberlain still naively hoped that the war could be ended diplomatically. Instead of bombing, the army dropped propaganda leaflets over German cities, which air marshals had likely done nothing to provide the continent with toilet paper for the duration of the war. They also sent 200,000 men to France. The French had mobilized millions. But Britain and France wanted to avoid a repeat of the First World War, and so they wanted to keep the war as far from home as possible. So they turned their eyes north, towards Norway. Neutral Sweden was exporting iron ore to Germany from neutral Norway, so the Allies asked if they could please stop exporting iron ore to Germany, but this request was refused. The Soviet Union attacked Finland, so the Allies said, "How about we land troops in Norway and give them across Sweden to go about your health, and along the way maybe to control your army?" But Norway and Sweden still said no, so they mined the around to force any transport ships into international waters to attack German towns they found in the area. Hitler realized what the Allies were up to, and he quickly moved to secure his supply of iron. He launched an invasion through Denmark into Norway. The Allies rushed to and keep along the coast, but Germany had taken control of Norway's airfield, and their air superiority decided to fight. The Allies had to retreat. After the slightly embarrassing failure, Chamberlain resigned and was replaced with Winston Churchill, who had a slightly different approach to dealing with the Germans. Hitler's overall strategy was similar to Germany's First World War strategy. Attack France, defeat France, working out the UK in the process, then turn on the Soviet Union and win the war. During the Phony War, the Allies had given Hitler time to prepare his forces. Now he was ready to attack. The Allies wanted to place troops in Belgium, but Belgium had refused. In a move that surprised pretty much no one, an invasion to get around France's defenses. He tried to develop full speed to meet the German invasion head-on, and a the First World War was coming. But this time, Hitler had a trick.
I'm sorry if I'm not talking a lot.
Germans
I'm just
advanced
really
without
focused on
refugees
this.
westward, slowing the Allies. Then, south, the French had the Ardennes, an area full of hills and forests, pretty defended because it was really impossible. Well, the Germans were about to penetrate it with everything they had. They smashed 50 Wehrmacht and encircled the Allied army at lightning speed. The rest of the forces were now trapped. The Germans squeezed in from both sides, taking out France's best armies and really wiped out the British. But they managed to make a desperate last-minute escape to Kirk, with British civilian ships making English young men home. With most of the forces defeated, the Germans breezed through, taking Paris, and fell. What the Germans didn't do in World War I, Hitler had done, just like
Another ad. Okay.
that. Hitler hoped that with the fall of France,
Oh
the
shit,
UK
they're
would
almost
also lose
finished.
hope and sue for peace. But quite a
Quite literally did. We're gonna continue in part 2 another time. Please like, leave a sub, tell me what you think. Eventually I've been getting to it when I can get to it. But for now, that's it. We're gonna continue with part 2 eventually. But for the first video, I hope you guys can like, leave a subscribe, tell me what you guys think. Leave some stuff, I can react to it eventually. And that's it. You guys have a good day.